Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of our slow and immersive playthrough of Victoria 3. We'll be playing the latest open beta patch, which I believe is 1.5.5 as of this time. We'll play with Chile, as kind of two-state nation in the southern tip of Southern America. And we'll be going just for a slow and steady rise in GDP, trying to get the hang of the core economics and politics mechanics of Victoria 3, and then once the full patch 1.5 comes out later in November, perhaps we can tackle something, larger and more interesting with more warfare and I guess more politics. So let's go for economic dominance here, Iron Man mode. Select any country. And we'll go, here we are, Chile. Chile is embarking on a process of political centralization, concentrating power into the hands of the government and the church. What does the future hold for Chile? Yeah, it is a minor power, and a rank 36 in the world with current prestige of 26. Here, we need prestige of at least 70 to become major power, and that's likely to increase as the game progresses. And it is a small nation at the tip of Southern America, tucked away here. And we'll be focusing mostly on the domestic economy for the first, at least third, maybe half of the game. And then we'll see if we can actually do anything more complex in terms of diplomacy and trade. So here we are, economic dominance. Through the course of this objective, you will be given a series of journal entries to complete. How you choose to complete these tasks will be left up to you, the player. You will need to have an iron or coal mine in your country before getting your first journal entry. Onwards. Okay, so let's get a quick overview of Chile as a country. So here we are. We have a rank of minor power. We've got 10 battalions of military, 3 flotillas of fleet. Our GDP is 640,000 with 0.66 GDP per capita, i.e. GDP divided by population. Population of which we have almost 1 million people here, number 83 worldwide, with annual projected pop growth of just 0.08%. Pretty bad. And our incorporated population is 909,000 and unincorporated populations of 55,000. This is the population that's currently colonizing states and living in these half sort of semi-colonized states. 116,000 are gainfully employed, 115,000 are peasants, 8.8 thousand unemployed, and dependents are 724,000. So vast majority of these are the wives, the children, the elderly, etc. Our literacy is 13.7%, pretty low, number 84 worldwide. Innovation cap of 70.6. This results in an innovation cap of 70.6. Innovation is what drives our research. We're currently generating 50 innovation each week. So our standard of living is struggling, 8. And the state religion is Catholic, and primary culture is South Andean. Our government currently consists of just the armed forces. It is effectively a military junta. Government type where a country is ruled by the military. This government type adopts a dictatorial transfer of power, which means that under dictatorial transfer of power, rulers reign for life. On the death of the ruler, a new ruler is chosen from the leader of the interest group with the most clout. Okay, so that's, us. We will be aiming to increase our GDP, as I mentioned, increase GDP per capita, increase our population as much as possible, and I think that's the first thing we need to fix, to be honest. Because this will have exponential effects for the rest of the game. The earlier we can get the population growth up, the earlier, it can start to get that exponential benefit. And, the higher our GDP growth will be. And in the end, we need the workers. And generally, economies grow, generally speaking, at least their population growth rate. And this 0.08% does not bode well. We'll try to increase our literacy as well, especially as we industrialize and we need, better jobs. Yeah. So that's a quick overview of Chile. I would go ahead straight away and just jump to the population tab. Just have a look at what is our country. Who are these 964,000 people that are generally struggling? About a quarter of our population is politically aligned with various interest groups. Most population, 75%, is unaligned. And here we have 3 stratas: lower strata, middle strata, and upper strata. Lower strata being clerks, laborers, machinists, peasants, slaves, and servicemen. Middle strata being academics, bureaucrats, clergymen, engineers, farmers, officers, and shopkeepers. And upper strata being aristocrats and capitalists. And here we can see the average income of our lower strata population is pounds, 5.2 pounds. That compares to 17.9 pounds for the middle strata and 48.4 pounds. It's almost 10 times as much as the lower strata. The average income of our upper strata, which are only 13,000 people, with 80,000 being middle strata and 872,000 of our population. That's basically, I think, 90%. You could say, right? Yeah, about 90% of our population is lower strata. 10%, or you could say 9%, is middle strata, and 1% upper strata. Here we can also quickly see how they spend that income. So of the 5 income that, for example, the lower strata get, they spend 14 on taxes, of which 4.9 are income taxes, and 9.1 are poll taxes. Poll taxes being a flat tax collected on every working adult it applies to. Since poll taxes do not scale with the pop's income, it tends to impact the lower strata the most. Here we go. And whereas income taxes, a tax is collected on the wages paid to the workforce, right? And this also, so 14%, for example, our lower strata spend on taxes, 83% they spend on their needs. And that determines their standard of living here. And they spend 37, more than a third of their money on grain. These pops spend on average 36 of their net income on grain. The average price is 28.5, which is 42.5% more expensive to the base price compared to the base price. And I'll explain what the base price is in a second. The next, and that is by far the single largest line of expenditure for our lower strata. The next highest is 12%. So together these would be almost half of the income they have, is clothes, right, which are also very expensive in our market. And then they use some wood for, I guess, firewood, some liquor, tobacco, some bit of furniture, meat, and fabric. And they have 2.8 for excess that they can save, and that excess goes towards increasing the average standard of living for these pops. So if we are to grow, I guess, our economy, we're going to need to, open up new industries, and we're going to need to grow our population. Population growth, in turn, here's a tooltip, says the net number of individuals a pop gains or loses over time is governed by its birth rate and mortality. Both metrics are governed by standard of living and modified by factors such as disease, which we shouldn't have any, hopefully. Dangerous working conditions, we'll have some. Beneficial institutions, like public, like health services, and available living space, which we hopefully have enough. External changes to a pop's size due to, e.g., migration or casualties of war, are not considered pop growth. Okay. So here we are. If we want to increase population growth, we need to raise their standard of living. We're going to focus on the lower strata, and the best thing you can do for the lower strata is just lower the price of grain in our country. So that is kind of one avenue that we can pursue. We can then tackle the shortage, relative shortage of clothes, which results in higher prices. For our middle strata here, which is only 9% of the population, but interestingly, their single biggest expenditure line is on grain. They then spend their money on clothes, kind of almost equal amount, then furniture, luxury clothes, and services. And together, I guess, these make this is 30%, 40, 50. That's about half of of their expenditure. So decreasing the price of grain will help our middle strata as well, actually. And these guys actually have 3.1 of their incomes left as excess for improving their standard of living, which is generally 18, middling. Frankly, I don't think these guys have too much to complain about. And our upper strata is prosperous, so 48% income, guys. Not a lot of income tax in our country. Poll taxes don't affect them since this is just a flat tax per working adult. They spend 90% of their income on needs, which are luxury clothes, 20%, services, another, let's say 20%, and then furniture, 10%. That's 50% with the clothes. Meat, yeah, so a bit of meat, luxury furniture, porcelain, wine, liquor, tobacco. Grain is only 2%, interestingly. And, you know, that makes perfect sense to me. Fruit, wood, and fabric. So yeah, that's kind of us, I feel, as a country. We'll have a look at the politics in a second. But let's just have a look at, you know, last bit of the country as to what is our economy. What does it look like at the moment? Generally, the country is split into two incorporated states, Santiago and Los Rios. Let's have a look at Santiago as our capital state. That's 66% of our GDP. About probably 2/3 of our population. Generally struggling. It is the capital state, South Andean culture. We have the Andes state trait. Given, you know, this Andes mountains stretching all the way down the western coast of South America. And that gives us minus 10% state construction efficiency and minus 10% infrastructure. Not much we can do about that, so we'll just have to deal with it. And here we are, we have 100% access to the Chilean market, given we're below the infrastructure cap. Taxation capacity we have plenty of. Let's have a look at our buildings. So this is kind of what the local economy is composed of, and we have urban buildings here. 2 urban centers, 16 trade centers, 4 government administration buildings, 1 tooling workshop, not particularly productive. Taking iron and wood to make some tools, which don't seem to be in very high demand. We have iron mines here. And here we have our resource buildings. And we have 1 iron mine, which is good. So the nascent kind of core component of industrialization is there. We have potential for 33 mines, so we could have a huge iron sector. We have also potential for sulfur mines here with 36 size sulfur mines, so a lot of sulfur. We have potential for 8 fishing wharves, 6 logging camps, 5 gold mines, of which we have 3 built up, and these are productive. And what gold mines do, as far as I understand, they take tools, wages, and infrastructure, obviously, and produce, here it says 30 gold, and that gives us 1,530 minting. We'll take a look at our government budget in a second, but effectively, this is just funds for our government, as having more gold allows us to just print more money. Given, I guess, most of the currencies at this time were following the gold standard. So if you have the gold to back it up, you could print money and spend it and effectively stimulate your economy without increasing inflation. So this is an important core, kind of, I think, early component of our economy. Building up these would just let us print more money, which we'll talk about in a second. We only have capacity for 5 here, so we got space for 2 more. We have a capacity for 2 whaling stations here. Yeah, get some oil and meat. We have 1 livestock ranch, 1 wheat farm. Only 1 wheat farm we have in our country. So no wonder wheat is so expensive. From here we just pay wages and produce some wheat. So there we are. Livestock ranches we have. What do they take the expensive wheat we have, and they produce meat and fabric, which not in a particularly high demand. The rest are subsistence farms. And we have 5 barracks giving us 5 battalions of the 10 of our army. 3 naval bases giving us the 3 flotillas. And we have 1 port, which takes clippers and gives us convoys for trade routes. Some infrastructure for the state. Some urbanization. And that's pretty much it for Santiago. Then we have Los Rios, our second state, which is about a third of our GDP, third of our population, generally roughly struggling, doing a little bit better than Santiago, but roughly in the same ballpark. We do have Patagonian culture. So we have 50,000 Patagonians living here. And that's something, I guess, to note. We have the Andes modifier here. Got plenty of taxation capacity. Not that much infrastructure capacity, so we have to be careful with building buildings in this state. Probably be focusing on Santiago for most at the start. And here you go. Let's check the buildings. No urban centers, given there's just not enough urbanization. Because there's not enough industry. And all we have here in terms of resources, we have logging camps. 2 logging camps out of potential for 11 that are reasonably productive. I guess from my little time I spent playing Victoria, I think about 5 and above is good. So reasonably productive logging camps. We have 1 livestock ranch, 1 tobacco plantation, 1 vineyard, of which only the tobacco plantations are reasonably productive. 27 subsistence farms, so a total of 30 arable land in Los Rios. And we have 5 barracks here for the other 5 battalions. Services are pretty expensive in Los Rios, as we don't have the urban centers to actually provide any, so I guess we're relying on some distributed rural, post and administration buildings. Pretty expensive. We have 32 peasants in Los Rios. That are I think these are the guys who are working on the subsistence farms. Whereas in Santiago we have 78,000 peasants. And these can hopefully be employed in more gainful industries. So here we are. That's, I think that's pretty much the overview of the country, sorry. And the last state in the south that we are in the process of colonizing is the Chilean Araucania, where we have 50,000 people, currently declining actually. Interestingly by 2.2 thousand. Maybe that will change once we unpause. But this is effectively 1% GDP. Full access, not much going on here. Buildings, only space for 1 subsistent pasture. And this will grow as we colonize. So that's kind of Chile as it stands as of 1st of January 1836 in terms of country and economy. I feel like there's basically 2 avenues here. We can either probably get more wheat farms and more grain into our country, which will help the lower strata, the middle strata, help our livestock ranches to become more profitable. And I guess generally employ some of these peasants that are currently living on subsistence farms. So all around a win. And the other obvious path to me is to build up the gold mines in order to simply print more money. But looking at our budget tab, not particularly in need of any money at the moment. We are in surplus. Our gold reserves are stand at 64,000. And we are in surplus of 1.1k per month. And this is mostly from income taxes, poll taxes 2.3, minting is 2.67 for us, 2.7 thousand. So the single most important source of income for us is minting. And here it's 500 base, so for all countries, 640,000 from gross domestic product. So growing our GDP will help us to print more money as well. Or we can print more money as our economy grows, as that also wouldn't increase inflation. And we have about 2/3, about 40% of our minting income comes from the gold mines. And that is what lets us be in surplus effectively. That's what tips us over into surplus, importantly. And our national expenses, which we can't do much about other than lowering wages for government employees or military. But effectively it's government wages and goods for government buildings. Mostly clippers for our ports. And military wages, 1,000 from the barracks, 300 from the navy. And goods for military buildings, which are, we spend 1,000 on small arms, 273 on man o' wars. Yeah, so that's our budget. So perhaps the gold mines are not a priority, although they are generally a nice to have and just kind of an outright benefit to our nation. Let's have a look at the politics tab quickly, and we'll just go straight to the government tab. We'll have a look at the state of our government and what can we do to improve it. So right now we're being ruled, government consists solely of the armed forces interest group, who are happy with the state of affairs, giving us a bonus of plus 10% military research speed. And this is veteran consultation they have. Technological advancements are changing the face of war, but we can only make use of them if we understand how. Unfortunately, those of us with first-hand experience should have an idea. Fortunately, those of us with first-hand experience should have an idea. Yeah. If they were even happy with us, they were loyal, they would get plus 10% authority. What every good soldier needs is a good officer to lead him. In these times, what the whole nation needs is a good officer. Indeed. And this is, yeah, so it's effectively they have 19.7% clout. Our armed forces. This is kind of their political strength. And these are their kind of ideology, their core beliefs. So they're jingoist. This group believes in an aggressive foreign policy and maintaining an army to back it up. I can get behind that. They strongly endorse professional army. They endorse colonial resettlement and colonial exploitation. We can definitely stand behind that. They are loyalist. This group believes each citizen should pay their dues to fund the vital functions of the state. They endorse per capita taxation, proportional taxation, and graduated taxation. We can get behind that. They are patriotic. This group is fiercely devoted to its country and wants harsh measures against those who would spread dissent. So they strongly endorse militarized police force, endorse dedicated police force. They endorse secret police force and national guard. And they endorse outlawed dissent and censorship. Okay, and they have Cordialismo. This group tends to support strongmen leaders with military backgrounds over constitutional rule of law. Not sure how that will serve us in the long run, but it's okay for now. They strongly endorse presidential republic. They strongly endorse landed voting. They endorse hereditary bureaucrats and appointed bureaucrats, and they endorse local police force. So that's our government, and we're currently an unacceptable government with only 43 legitimacy, which gives us a bunch of malices. So -2 opposition interest group approval, plus 50% enactment time, plus 25% radicals from standard of living decreases, and gives 132 additional radicals per month. So we need to... And this basically stems from a lack of clout. There's only one interest group in government, and they only have 20% clout. And for a quick nation overview, let's just quickly jump to the laws tab before we talk about opposition interest groups, and just have a look how we're set up at the start of the game. We're a presidential republic, a political system where power is held by the people and their elected representatives. Republics have an elected or nominated president as head of state. We're an oligarchy. The head of state shares power and responsibility with a small group of powerful, unelected individuals. We have cultural exclusion. Foreign cultures with nothing in common with your primary cultures are discriminated against. With nothing in common, yeah. State religion. The church is an official organ of the state. All minority religions are discriminated against. Appointed bureaucrats. Bureaucrats are appointed by rulers to serve the country's best interest in exchange for high wages. And we have a professional army. The army consists of well-trained professional regulars. Internal security, we have no home affairs. The state makes no special attempts to put a stop to unrest and uprisings. A little odd, so we could go with National Guard or Secret Police to do that. In terms of our economy, we have interventionism. To ensure the stability of our nation, government must curb the worst excesses of private businesses. We have mercantilism, an export-focused economy with an emphasis on keeping a positive current account and competing with other nations. We have per capita taxation, a tax system that disproportionately taxes the poor through a combination of income and per capita taxes. Currently supported. We might want to change that later. Land reform, we have tenant farmers. Agricultural land is owned by hereditary elites. Workers are not tied to the land and may seek alternative employment if they can find it. We have colonial resettlement. Colonies are established to provide land to settlers from the country's incorporated states. We have no police. Any sort of structured police force does not exist in our country. We have no schools. Education is the parents' responsibility. Only the most leisurely citizens learn to read and write. And we have no health system. The government does not fund any system of healthcare. In terms of human rights, we have censorship. There's an active censorship of the press and no guaranteed right of assembly. We have no workers' rights. Workers have no particular labor rights guaranteed by the state. We have child labor allowed. No legal restrictions are placed on where children may work. Okay. Women are legally under the... So rights of women are legal guardianship. Women are legally under the guardianship of men and enjoy very few rights. Plus 5% birth rate. Okay, well, we can't really do without that for sure for the foreseeable future. No social security. It is not the state's role to provide for those who cannot provide for themselves. Migration controls. Only people of cultures and religions not discriminated against may migrate. Okay, and we have slavery banned. No human being may be owned by another. I can agree with that. And I guess the way the politics system works in Victoria 3, or I understand, is you have the government, you have interest groups in the government, which those interest groups that are part of the government unlock certain laws. Laws give certain, sometimes unlock production methods, i.e. like kind of technology, or different ways of running the buildings. They give some flat out benefits, change stats, and they also give access to institutions, which can then be upgraded to from level 1 to level 5. For example, our colonization policy, colonial resettlement, gives us plus 50 migration attraction in unincorporated states. Great. Enables the colonial affairs institution. And colonial resettlement is providing colonial affairs level 2 with 0.2 colonial growth generation. For institutions, we have colonial affairs, we're at level 2, and it gives us 0.2 colonial growth generation. So let's have a look back to our government. We need to increase legitimacy. So we have to reform. And for that, we need to bring other interest groups with clout into our government. And here we have, I guess, the two biggest ones, right? I mean, if we bring industrialists, that could really help our clout, our legitimacy at the moment. Yeah, we could bring these two, landowners and the Catholic Church, in, right? And they should be really part of our government. That will give us a lot of legitimacy. That will bring us to contested government, gives -1 opposition interest group approval. And legitimate government removes all penalties for the, and this is the penalty they're talking about, is this, how happy the opposition groups are with us. So we will have a legitimate government this way, which gives us plus 25% loyalists from standard of living increases, which hopefully we will be successful in engineering. However, effects -132 additional loyalists per month. Not sure what that means. So I guess right now we don't really get any loyalists, but maybe again that will change once we unpause. So that's good, right? I mean, the only things would be righteous government. Okay, plus 33% loyalists, -5% in law enactment time. Loyalists across the country will increase depending on how high legitimacy is. It's fine, we'll have to make do with the legitimate government. And by bringing the landowners and the Catholic Church in, right, let's just read a little bit. What do they actually give us? So the landowners, the most powerful interest group, not by a huge margin in our country. They are stratocratic. This group favors maintaining a hierarchy in society through traditional forms of taxation and labor relations. Okay. So army model, they endorse peasant levies and are neutral towards professional army, which we are running. We're running a professional army. They, in terms of land reform, they endorse tenant farmers that we have. They strongly endorse serfdom, but we're not going to go that way. Yeah, we're not going to go with peasant levies for our army either. Their stance on taxation is neutral towards per capita taxation, which we're running now, and endorse consumption-based taxation and land-based taxation. Their stance of welfare is endorse no social security, which we don't have at the moment anyway. They are patriarchal. This group believes men should have political authority and that women should obey their fathers and husbands. Well, it's 1836, guys, so I guess it's appropriate. But here we are. Endorse legal guardianship and endorse outlaw dissent and censorship, which we both have. We have censorship and legal guardianship for women. So we're on the same page here. They have cordialismo, just like our armed forces, which means they strongly endorse presidential republic, which we are. They endorse single-party state and oligarchy, which we have. They also endorse hereditary bureaucrats and appointed bureaucrats. We have appointed bureaucrats, I believe. And they endorse local police force and are neutral to a dedicated police force and militarized police force. Okay, this group tends to support strongmen leaders with military backgrounds over constitutional rule of law. Not great, but it fits our current laws, so they should be happy. The Catholic Church, on the other hand, is pious. This group believes religious principles are paramount moral truths and that they should permeate all of society. They endorse charity hospitals and endorse religious schools, which currently we have no schools and no health system. And they're neutral towards no schools, but they oppose no health system. Okay. The moralist. They are moralists. This group has a strong belief in a religious moral order and views diversity of opinion and cultures as a threat to this order. Okay, which makes them endorse. They're neutral towards presidential republic, which we are now. They endorse theocracy. They strongly endorse monarchy. Not sure we want to go back that way, but possible. They strongly endorse state religion, which we have, and they endorse national supremacy in terms of citizenship. And we currently have cultural exclusion, I believe, right? Which they oppose. Okay. Which they oppose. Okay. They are also patriarchal. They endorse legal guardianship and they endorse outlaw dissent and censorship. As this group believes men should have political authority and that women should obey their fathers and husbands. Okay, so just like landowners, we're patriarchal. So these three groups, I think, go well together. Yeah. And if they are happy with us, they will give us the following bonuses. So landowners would give us plus 20% influence from family ties. In these changing circumstances, we still know the value of a good marriage. Our connections are older than the borders they surpass and will outlast both alliances and governments. Okay. And since this interest group is powerful being interest groups are considered powerful while their clout is above 20%, these bonuses are effectively doubled. So it gives plus 20% instead of plus 10%. Okay. And then if they are loyal to us, if their approval is at least 10, then they have noblesse oblige. We are better than the common folk, which means we have a duty to care for them. Their attempts to organize things for themselves are self-destructive and doomed to failure. Plus 20% aristocrats investment pool contribution. All right, and reinvestment from POPs with what is in the investment pool. Let's just have a look at that. The reinvestment from POPs with ownership shares is deposited into the investment pool, where it becomes available to construct buildings the country's current economic system law permits to be built with these funds. As construction of such buildings take place, the funds required to build them are deducted from the investment pool and deposited in the treasury as an investment pool transfer. Effectively, this helps the private sector develop its kind of industries on its own, so we don't have to pay for new buildings from the government pocket. Okay, Catholic Church here has divine right. We believe that there is an order to our lives. Society can reflect that order, better or worse. As long as the rulers are virtuous and their decrees just, we can ensure the people know why. And it gives us plus 20% authority. Okay, and since it's powerful already, it's more than 20%, the bonuses are doubled, so it gives 20% authority. And here, be fruitful and multiply. Asceticism is fine for the few who dedicate their life to spiritual pursuits, but in the common people, the most important values to instill are those of building a family and caring for children. Agree, and that gives us plus 5% birth rate. Okay, so this is a really good one because we need to get our population going. So let's go ahead and confirm this government. But another thing we can do, because we have a censorship law, we're actually very effective at bolstering certain interest groups that we want to have more clout and become more powerful. And we are also good at suppressing those that we want to be less powerful. I think... How should we do this? I mean, we are going for economic dominance, so let's look at industrials. It's too early to bring them into government. But what would they bring? They would bring plutocratic. This group believes that the wealthy have proven their worth as decision makers and form an intellectual elite well suited to set the course of society. They endorse oligarchy, which we have, and wealth voting. Neutral towards monarchy, presidential, republic, and parliamentary. They don't really care about what the governance principles are that much. Or ambivalent. Their stance for taxation is per capita taxation they endorse. Stance on colonization endorse colonial exploitation. It doesn't really fit us right now. Pretty much none of these. Laissez-faire, they strongly endorse laissez-faire, endorse interventionism, they endorse free trade, they endorse child labor allowed, neutral towards no workers' rights, endorse commercialized agriculture. Individualist. So the laissez-faire, the background to it is this group believes in the free flow of trade and labor forces, favoring the judgment of markets over that of governments. Okay, an individualist. This group believes each person is responsible for their own fate and opposes government programs to provide services that can be paid for by the individual. Private schools, no migration controls. They strongly endorse private health insurance. They endorse poor laws, endorse no health system. Or they strongly endorse private health system. And they oppose public health insurance. They give engines of progress. Behold the marvels of the modern age. There is no time for hesitation. If it can be thought, designed, and patented, it should be built, tested, and put to immediate use. Plus 10% production research speed. That's quite nice, as we will be focusing on our industry. Job creators, plus 10% capitalist investment pool contribution efficiency. One must spend money to make money. As long as the government can be trusted not to interfere with our investments, there is nowhere we'd rather put our profits than towards economic growth. That's also very nice. Similar to these guys. But let's have a look just quickly at our population. How many aristocrats versus capitalists do we actually have? So upper strata. Charts. Strength, population, weight, population. No, wait, detailed. How does it... Okay, 1.2 thousand capitalists we have. And 11.7 thousand aristocrats. So I think let's keep our government as is for now. In terms of laws, I think we will go ahead and establish charity hospitals, given we have 21% support. Yeah, most people support. And this will give us... Charity hospitals will provide a health system level 1 with plus 10% Catholic Church political strength. Half standard of living, minus 10% pollution effects reduction. We don't have that much pollution. But importantly, they'll give us minus 3% mortality rate. These are charitable organizations, often religious ones, provide some help to anyone who is sick or dying to the degree they are able. So let's go ahead and enact this law. Close the government window. I think we've spent enough time there. And then come back to our economy. And effectively, as I already mentioned, we have two paths here. I reckon we'll just go with expand wheat farms. Click on our wheat farms. Let's expand these to level 2. They'll give us an extra 20 grain. Alright, and hopefully lower the price of grain for lower and middle strata, alleviate some of that pressure. The last thing for us to do is just to look at our, well, our research. And I think society. Before we look at that, let's actually look at our other. I think this is kind of a key strength of our early economies, gold mines. We're gonna need to build 2 levels of gold mines. For sure. How can we produce more gold? We'll get up to 5. After that, we'll need to improve, say, mining equipment. We'll improve our production methods to get more gold out of this gold mine. And here we'd need atmospheric engine pump, would double our gold production. And the way to get it is invented atmospheric engine. We could also get additional gold from nitroglycerin of dynamite. Okay. The rest don't produce more gold, they just change other things, which we'll talk about later. So I guess atmospheric engine would be great to get. It would be great for gold. It can be, yes, it can be used for iron, sulfur, anything we want. Yeah. So atmospheric engine is a good tech to get. Otherwise, wheat farms. How do we get more wheat? We could double our wheat production with just 5 fertilizer. Chile has invented intensive agriculture. Okay. Let's go here. I assume it's going to be under production. And here we are. Here, atmospheric engine or intensive agriculture. Intensive agriculture leads to nitroglycerin and then dynamite. So that will give us production, but we'll need to establish whole new industries for that. I reckon 4 years. The atmospheric engine is the first steam engine that has an actual practical application. Let's go ahead with that. Let's go ahead with the atmospheric engine, which is an evolution of shaft mining and manufactories. Let's go ahead and unpause finally. Here we are. This is unpause finally. Let's get the game running. So it will take 20 weeks to build our wheat farms. So look at these events as they're popping up. Landowners, family ties. This is due to their approval of happy +6. Peru have started to improve mutual relations. They're currently neutral. Their attitude towards Chile is cooperative. Where's Peru? Peru is up here. Okay. So landowners, family ties activated. This is due to approval of 6. They give us +20% influence. Catholic Church, divine right. This is due to their approval of loyal now. +20% authority. Catholic Church. Bolivia have started to improve our mutual relations, which are currently poor. Okay, that's good. We want peace. So actually, another thing, that I pause. We should have a look at these lenses, but the only relevant one right now just in our diplomatic lens, there isn't much we can do, but we can establish a colony in Patagonia as well. That is what I remember. So let's go ahead and do that. And then just close. Did that double our... Hang on, Patagonia. Oh, wait. Let's not cancel. Okay, let's just slowly colonize southern America. Pause. Watch our wheat farms being constructed and our charity hospital law being drafted. Here, a new political movement to preserve no health system is formed. Difficulties 11. Radicalism. Armed forces are now powerful with 20 clout. Brazilian Dutch rivalry declared. Brazil have declared Netherlands to be their rival. British response to the opium ban. Great Britain has responded angrily to the King ban on opium with multiple threats towards the government of Great King. Okay, Bolivian Ecuadorian rivalry declared. Ecuador have declared Bolivia their rival. Okay, where's Ecuador? Bolivia is here. Okay, so these guys. Not sure what they're fighting over. Netherlands have declared Brazil to be their rival. Okay. What do we have popping up here? The trade route import of small arms from the American market is inactive. Let's have a look here. Let's have a look actually at the market tab here. Here we can actually, first of all, see that the buy orders, for example, in our market, the most demanded good is, again, grain. 193 buy orders, 137 sell orders. Otherwise, yeah. Clothes are only a little bit, and there isn't that much demand. Wheat is by far the most demanded product in our market, and by far the most most unbalanced. So it's minus 55% balance here. We have too much log. Okay, hang on a second. So we're enacting charity hospitals, and we have an event here. Rousing speech captivates the public. This afternoon, Pedro de la Cruz, who is here, Catholic Church interest group leader of the Catholic Church, delivered a fiery speech advocating for the enactment of charity hospitals. Making an appearance before the public in Santiago's main square, Pedro de la Cruz's powerful rhetoric left even the most embittered political opponents impressed. Excerpts from the speech are already being circulated across Chile, fanning the fires of an already roaring debate. We can either pick this should ease the path to reform greatly, plus 15% enactment chance from current 22. And performances like these reflect well on Pedro de la Cruz and his cause. We have plus 10% enactment chance. Pedro de la Cruz gets 25% popularity. Catholic Church gets plus 5% interest group pop attraction. Do we like Pedro de la Cruz? Who is he? Pedro de la Cruz. He's politician, Catholic Church, authoritarian. Strongly endorsed outlaw dissent, secret police, autocracy. Pretty popular. He's imposing. Minus 20% infamy decline as agitator. Interest group leader, plus 1 government interest group approval. Minus 1% opposition interest group approval. Okay. Inspirational orator. I like him. Let's get him. Let's do 10% enactment chance, but give him popularity and interest group pop attraction. Here we are. Let's get back to looking at the market here. And yeah, as I was saying, we're producing too many logs, kinda, or you could say there's not enough demand. It's good to have it here, because as we build other buildings, hopefully we'll up the demand for wood. Let's have a look at our trade routes. It's all import. Yeah, we're not exporting anything. Might as well go ahead and remove the trade route from the United States. Otherwise, we're importing man o' wars, clothes, grain, 70 of. Charity Hospital has successfully progressed to the amendment phase of law enactment. Perfect. We're importing clippers. Importing liquor. New import route. Can we import more grain to just help us in the short term? Ecuadorian market. Do it. Let's get more grain to help our lower strata. Let's also... What do we want? We want clothes. Argentinian market. We also need luxury clothes. Bring those in. The British market. What else? Our population, luxury clothes, services, furniture. Look at furniture. Argentinian market. We could get 7. Bring them from Argentina. And from the British market. We have plenty of convoys. So all this is, and you know, we can collect tariffs on all of these. Oh, okay, this is now not particularly productive, but this is very unproductive. Let's just have a look how it develops. Maybe it just needs to settle a little bit. Sorry, wheat farms we've constructed. Sorry, I'm just gonna notice that finishing. It wasn't too long ago, but let's go. Frankly, let's get this up to 5. Right, we need a lot of wheat. So the price is now 28. It's kind of dipped, but it's still up. So let's get more wheat farms in. That will be the first order of business. What else is there? Small arms input goods shortage in the Chilean market. Oh yeah, let's import small arms then. Small arms from the British market. Okay. That's our trade. Let it settle a little bit and we'll see. In terms of our budget, we're running a pretty big surplus. We're kind of almost at the... Let's keep building up our gold reserves. Because I guess another thing we could do... Here we build a construction sector, which would... Because we have 10 base construction. And it takes us 20 weeks like that to build a wheat farm. Right? If we build a construction sector in Santiago, it could speed up construction, you know, across our country. And I think it actually speeds it up more in this state in which the construction sector is based in. So let's go ahead and expand that as the next order of business. How long is it? 14 weeks? We could actually... Buildings, construction. Here's a list of all of our constructions. We could expand our construction sector next. Let's see how that works. Let's have a look. Wheat. Where's wheat farms? Grain. Let's see. Look. So we're productivity of 6. Some of the most productive wheat farms in the world. I mean, it's good, but I feel like that's not really something to be proud of. Because I would actually drive down the price of grain to base price or even lower. I would even go as far as subsidizing these things if we can, just to keep grain price as low as possible. Let's look at our population. Yeah, because our lowest strata, I mean, 90% of our population spends a third of their income on grain. Need to get that up ASAP. And I think the plan will be get our wheat farms to 5. That will produce 100 grain. Alright, that's 5 times more than we're used to. Let's see what that does to the price. Expand our construction sector so that we can actually speed this up, and then we build 2 gold mines after we build the construction sector, I guess. That is the construction plan. Let the time progress, and in the meantime we can Have a look at our population growth. That has improved to 0.5 percentage point. Look at our states. Here we are, 661,000. The birth rate is 8.9 and mortality is 8.3. So let's see how that changes once we pass charity hospitals. That will be interesting. So annual pop growth, we only get 5,000 pops. And given that gainfully employed 120,000 of 700,000 dependents, so we only have 3. So about a third of these becomes gainfully employed. So 2,000 workers per year. That's not a lot. Not a lot. France have declared Great Britain their arrival. So let's turn off the trading lens. Here we have discord within the armed forces. An influential faction within the armed forces has grown frustrated with their co-members' neutrality on the topic of charity hospitals. Themselves in favor of the law, they have now resolved to form a separate political faction intent on passing it. How can you all stand idly by and watch the world pass before your eyes? Have you no sense of honor or duty to your fellow man? I say nay to such lack of ambition. Dare I say, I am not alone in this. With their support, the bill shall pass, plus 15% enactment chance, minus 5% interest group pop attraction. Or plus 10% enactment chance, minus 15% armed forces interest group attraction, plus 10% Catholic Church. I think I'll go with this. I think in the long run, I don't particularly want armed forces within our government, do we? I kind of want the Catholic Church. I'd be more in favor of that. What other alerts are there? Low organization. Not sure. Not really interested right now. Clippers. Relatively expensive. Low standard of living. Small arms on the Chilean market. Yeah. Nothing we can do about that. 62.5% of pops below minimum expected standard of living in Chilean Araucanía. That's the colony. Popular playwright endorses reform. In the midst of the debate surrounding charity hospitals, one of the country's leading playwrights, strongly associated with the Catholic Church, has staged a widely acclaimed play whose politically laden theme makes no secret of the author's desire for the law to be passed. The man's viewpoints may be somewhat partisan, but sir, you cannot argue with his prose. Charity hospitals will be on everyone's lips now. Plus 10% enactment chance. This sure puts the Catholic Church in good light. Catholic Church gets flattering portrayal for 5 years, plus 10% interest group pop attraction. Or let us ensure the play gets a wider international audience. Chile gets renowned playwright permanently, plus 20 prestige. And we currently have 25. That will double our prestige. Let's do that. I mean, I do want... We have 62% enactment chance. So let's ensure the player gets a wider international audience. We're currently 23 in the world. Doing pretty well. GDP is... Wow. Not particularly... Can't really say that's growing, to be honest, but... Let's complete our construction sector and see how that goes. And it's only been, what, a year? Yeah, we're kind of... I mean, we are tending upwards. Right, so here we are, guys. Buildings, construction sector. Right, so that's going to start employing people, giving us construction kind of capacity. Construction is produced by the construction sector and is used to construct buildings. And I think we're coming up on the hour, guys, so let's make a cut here. I think we have our strategy laid out. You know, and we're just 1 year in. I'm going to pause the game here. We're 1 year in. Hopefully the next episode will maybe get them kind of 5-10 years of the game. But thanks for watching. I hope we got a clear overview of Chile. We will go, you know, as the time passes, we'll be playing on kind of speed of 2 or 3 and just take a more detailed look through all the tabs in the next episode to understand all the mechanics and understand where Chile is and where, what we need to do, and where can we and where should we take the country over the next, I guess, 5-10 years and down the line. So thanks all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll hope to see you in episode 2. Thanks. Bye.